Was never fair. I'd rather be this starving artist, experience life now at its farthest. One blue sky, we are under, torn and shred now, ripped asunder. The politics, war and famine. I thank God I'm still here jamming. Train your mind.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to today's roundtable discussion. I'm Austin, and you're watching Euphoric Intentions. Welcome to today's roundtable discussion. So on today's episode of Euphoric Intentions, death. And I know I've previously talked about death, immortality, literally the extension of how every eventuality or possibility becomes an eventuality due to the vast expansive nature of the universe itself. But today, I want to talk a little bit about why it is that people have religion and how religion enforces moral and ethical characters among a group of people in society, and this being versus an atheistic viewpoint. So first off, whether or not you believe in a supreme deity or a god that is literally, in a sense, a character and an individual like you are, who has the compassions of like human empathy and relatability to the human experience, because, you know, if you believe in certain aspects of religions, then God himself, right? We're gonna actually give God a sex himself, because if we read in, you know, somewhat of religions, then God does have a sex, and God has human characteristics as well. Now, whether you actually believe that God literally holds an image like us as man, or if you believe that God was actually formed in the image of man so that God could be relatable to man, realistically, if you think about the entirety of how life itself plays out, it doesn't necessarily matter where you stand on the issue, because you're like immortal either way. Now, the difference being that the actions that you take during life actually place you in a different position within your life in regards to the quality of your life and the experiences that you actually have during your life. So, for example, if I believe in God, then I don't believe really in death, because I believe that every soul is going to be saved through God, and, you know, everything's going to be remembered to a certain extent, and that remembrance is going to include me as well. And a lot of people like to take this in a lot more spiritual manner rather than assigning God a human form or characteristics of a human. They then take it on like a much more existential way and like a much more scientific manner, and then they'll just say that God is literally the collective intelligence of all material objects, or literally every single particle made up or collected together throughout the entire universe itself is God. And it's a lot less identifiable to us humans, because it's like just this omnipresent energy and fluctuation of energy, and this flow and this ebb and flow of energy and time, and matter taking different forms and shapes based upon you know, the statistical probabilities and behaviors that certain things have, giving them characteristics which in essence give us the physical world, which then give us the ability to experience life. Now what I'm going to try and show here is that whether or not you believe in like a deity having humanistic qualities or some like existential collective intelligence of all things, which of course it remembers all things because literally everything creates a three-dimensional ripple like wave through time and space, and so literally everything that ever occurs actually is remembered, and so you and your life are remembered through the eternities, and so you're already immortal. Or if you are some atheistic individual who doesn't hold in your belief system like an identifiable humanistic God or some existential like metaphysical God or anything above, where literally the collective intelligence of things don't make up a supreme deity, whether it's the universe or a supreme being. And how I'm going to show that is that the explanation for reality itself, based upon an atheistic viewpoint, is through the use of infinity. And as soon as we actually put infinity into the equation, then literally the chances of life actually occurring in no matter how small of a probability, if there are infinite expanses going on all the time of like worlds being created or universes being manifest through this chaotic mess of like particles colliding and just big bangs pretty much going on all the time, where it's like things exist but don't exist and they're like in a superimposed state of non-existence. But the fact of the matter is that as soon as you introduce infinity into the equation, no matter how small of a probability, then what actually occurs is it becomes an eventuality. And so no longer, even though it was such a small probability for life to actually exist and occur, due to the ever expansive, vast nature of infinity, it becomes an eventuality. And so pretty much the possibility becomes one, because as soon as we place in, something that goes along forever, then no matter, how small of a percentage it might be, it's eventually going to become a possibility of one. So, how can this knowledge actually allow you to come to terms with immortality? Well, first off, we have to describe what it is you're experiencing right now anyways. What is it that gives us a sense of life? How can I myself actually be self-aware of my own consciousness and comprehending what it would be like to be dead? Without these things, I wouldn't be able to be aware of my own existence. And due to the fact that I was so immersed in the moment, there would be like no relative change of anything around me, and I wouldn't be able to perceive this change. And in being unable to perceive change, I wouldn't be able to experience life. Now, what I'm trying to get into is, how am I me? Well, the built up amount of memories that I have serves to give me some form of identity. And the pathway along the tree that I've taken has led me to this position right now. We're going to disregard free will kind of for this conversation. The discussion of free will. We're not going to dive into whether or not ultimately it was me that chose to be here. But anyways, welcome to today's episode of Euphoric Intentions. I'm your host, Austin. Join me on this ride as we ride through the mines, where it may be a little dark, but in the darkness, we might just find gold, folks. Death occupies a lot of people's minds, but do we ever really die? I mean, if you believe in a humanistic deity that many people associate with the term God, then you don't truly ever perish, because you just merely end up in a place after this one, right? However, even if you don't believe in things in that way, you still shouldn't fear death, and I'm going to explain to you why. So let's imagine that life is like this eternally branching three-dimensional tree, right? That's going off in every possible direction, filling up a sphere. The sphere in totality is the universe. And it's like we ourselves are starting in the initial central point of this sphere. Now, literally, there's this branching web, which we can then proceed in any directions from this centralized point within the sphere, which is the universe. And depending on which way we traverse, we create this web in which we end up in a location. And that location is who you are and where you are. And based upon the pathway that you took, it gives you some form and sense of identity. Now, literally the entirety of the sphere itself houses all possibilities, where literally no matter how infinitesimally small the possibility actually is, due to the vast nature of infinity itself, it becomes an eventuality, and it actually lies within some place in this sphere, in this ever-expanding balloon. And so looking at things in this way, you yourself are immortal and eternal, because how a lot of theoretical physicists look at the world being brought into being is through the infinite nature in which literally, due to the vast expansiveness of all that is and introducing infinity into the equation, literally no matter how small of chance it actually is for the universe to come into existence, it's going to come into existence with the probability of 1. Because if something is moving along eternally in this three-dimensional sphere, no matter how small of a possibility it actually is, it's going to come into being and being a reality. And so that's how we get the universe coming into being. And so now, taken that, the exact pathway that you have taken to become you, literally has a very small likelihood of ever occurring again, right? And literally a small percentage, or let's say like a very, very small chance that things occur along the exact same route that it took for you to be in this place that you are now. But given what we just talked about, literally those chances and the likelihood of that actually occurring becomes 100%. So in light of this, it's like this eternal loop system in which literally eventually as everything passes away, then as soon as things come back around, because it's infinite, so there's a 100% chance that it will come back around. And there's a 100% chance that no matter how small the chance is for things to actually occur along the timeline or the pathway in this three-dimensional tree, which is ever expanding, for them to actually go along the exact same path that it took for you to be right here at this moment, becomes an eventuality. And so if you're looking at things in terms of a deity which resurrects souls, and we give this deity humanistic qualities so that we can identify with it, or if you believe in a much more metaphysical viewpoint of the universe itself, either way, you're eternal. Now, here comes the bigger question at hand. It's not necessarily a question of immortality, but of quality of life. So, given the fact that, what is it that makes me me? Well, it's the built up sum of experiences that I've had. If I was to experience something else, then I would no longer be who I am at this moment. And that's why other things are different to me, because they've taken a different pathway from the initial expanse. And so they're opposite things. And so literally nothing else that hasn't taken the exact same path that I have isn't me. And so there literally isn't other duplicates of me, because if they took the exact same route that I did, they would be me. And so this whole doppelganger theory then goes out the window, because in multi-dimensional universes or a multiverse, I believe in a multiverse to a degree in which there are different people in the same universe, but we're all housed within a grand universe, and everything came from somewhere else, and where it came from is where everything else resides within, and so ultimately there's only one. And so, sure, you might believe in a multiverse where there's these different realities, but it's just like looking at life and the world from the perspective of individual people. Sure, there's different people going around, and their timeline, which they've gone through, and the world that they see and the reality in which they partake in, and the things they experience are different. They're still within, a much larger reality and universe, which other things are within as well. And I believe in the multiverse to that degree and extent. But literally, there's all things housed within one thing. Now, here's the bigger question. I think that a lot of times when people introduce small children into certain religious teachings, what they're actually doing is they're setting them up for what they believe to be a beneficial pathway within life itself. It's like psychologically conditioning children to believe in heaven, and if they themselves participate in actions which allow them entrance into heaven, then what's actually going to happen is that you're conditioning children to behave in a way which allows them to have a greater quality of life while they live here on earth. Because let's say that heaven requires you to be a morally outstanding citizen. Well, what if I say that morally outstanding citizens actually have a greater quality of life during the life that they live? And so in essence, if we look at hell and heaven representative of the qualities of life that people experience while they're living here on earth, then in a sense, by following these spiritual teachings, you can find yourself within heaven, which is a greater quality of life than finding yourself within hell. And we are told to avoid certain actions, otherwise we'll end up in hell, because it is something which God does not want to see or witness or you to do. Otherwise, you're going to be punished for your actions. Now, what if we look at God as literally the collective intelligence of other conscious entities or beings, literally the collective intelligence of mankind itself? Mankind has laws and regulations, and if we break these regulations or these rules of thumb, then what's going to happen is that we're punished by the law. And so we're going to see that we're going to find ourselves being imprisoned, and we're going to be living in a much lower quality of life based upon the actions that we took, in comparison to if we would have actually obeyed God's will and respected what God actually means, and that is other man. If we were to respect and if we were to observe the golden rule and treat others as we would want to have been treated ourselves, then we would have not participated in an action or an activity which would have put us in a situation to be confined within a realm of a lower quality of life, or in literal terms, hell itself. Hell is merely a psychological state of existence by, contradicting the moral and ethical nature of society itself and which is required by society to be a functioning group of individuals collectively working towards the greater quality of life for all the collective individuals in the group itself. And if we go against this rule, then we're in a sense going against God's will. And so we're going to find ourselves in a lower position. Now, how does all of this relate to, let's say, this whole eternal timeline and immortality that I was talking about earlier? Well, it's kind of collapses. It kind of collapses into like a whole discussion over free will, because literally, if I took a different pathway, then I wouldn't be who I am now, and it would be something else. It wouldn't be me any longer. So what you have to look at is, in this whole sphere, if I pinpoint some location right here, and I draw the line, no matter how zigzaggy or straight or whatever it is, to get to this eventuality within this sphere, which represents me, you know, is there really any other way for me to become me? And so what you could actually say is that you can't change who you are. You're going to be who you were meant to be, type of thing. And so it's like, am I going to end up in hell because I was already predestined to be in hell? Because, you know, this location over here exists, and given for reality to exist, everything that can exist becomes existing based upon that notion. Am I literally just an eventuality? And the pathway that it took for me to become right here, to be who I am, is something which I couldn't avoid, and is something which I couldn't necessarily be over here, otherwise I wouldn't be this, and I'm not who I am, and I'm something else, and then I no longer exist right here. And so it's like, life is like trying to experience the best life possible, but for it to actually have the best life possible, a location up here, all these other locations actually have to become a reality. And so there's a lot of philosophical questions that come into play when you're then talking about free will, and you're talking about identity and self-awareness, and in, you know, the pathway that it took to be who you are. Because, like, can I then realistically go and judge anybody else? And a lot of people will say that it's a cop-out, because what happens is that you become something which literally has no control over anything. But it's like such this contradiction, because as soon as you kind of believe that you have no control over anything, and you have no ability to judge anything, because what you're observing, whether it's a person in a circumstance or a situation, that situation had to come into existence. And so you can't necessarily, you know, judge the experience or judge the person, no matter how terrible of a person they are, because by doing so, you are, in a sense, saying that it was their fault for actually committing the actions itself that led them to be in that position, which led them to committing, you know, atrocious actions upon other individuals. But the fact of the matter is that you're bringing into question a much more philosophically debated thing, you know, which has been debated for a long, long time. And that's whether or not we rightfully have the right to judge at all. Because, you know, in doing so, it creates this contradiction, because if we just go around and if we just say it's not our place to say anything about anything, then we find ourselves not saying anything about anything. And the more we believe that we have less control, the less control we have, because we, in a sense, act upon our beliefs, and that becomes our reality. And so society then falls into this degraded state where nobody can be held accountable for anything, because they can't be held accountable, because it wasn't their fault that they ended up where they're at, and they are doing what they're doing wasn't, you know, truly their fault at all. And so you can't help, but feel pity upon other people that find themselves in degraded situations, because realistically, why is it that they ended up where they did? And now what you're going to find is that it's kind of sad, and you can't help but feeling empathy for all of these people, or sympathy, because at least trying to sympathize with them and their situation and their circumstance, because where everything becomes an eventuality, it was going to become where they're at anyways, no matter what you did. There's nothing you could do about it. And it's just the extension of life experiencing life itself. And so, it's just this whole big old thing. It's like this power struggle between us and the universe. It's like us and God. And if you read into scriptural texts, that's what you're going to find out, is that it's like there's a lot of people that they battle against God. And then, it's like they find the error in their ways. And it's like some people like defeat it. It's like if you read into like some stories that you like hear about Job, and like Job wrestles with God. And then God like brings back his life, and he lives to be like, however old, like it's like some crazy age that he ends up living to be. And like God returns all of his children to him, and like all this different stuff. But the sad part about it is that if life is on this eternally looping thing, and I'm just experiencing a part of life that I have to experience, because for me to be who I am, I have to go through this cycle. And if I don't go through this specific route, I'm no longer who I am. And so it's kind of like, if you hear people talk about the veil, where we're blinded about things before, and things that are coming up. Like we're kind of blinded in both directions. We're blinded so far back, but then we're also blinded so far in front of ourselves as well. And it's like I have to keep experiencing this eternal loop to actually be who it is that I am. Otherwise, I'm not me anymore. And so there's like eternity, and there's immortality. And whether or not you identify with like a humanistically characterized deity, or some metaphysical God, or even if you're atheist, then you can't like deny the logic behind a lot of this. It's pretty much just math and physics, where literally the ever expansive nature of everything is going to make everything become a reality eventually. And so the bigger question at hand is that, can I really experience anything else without being who I am? And no, I have to go through everything I did to be who I am. Otherwise, I wouldn't be me. It would be something else. But as soon as I go through that thing, that is me. And so I'm going to be finding myself on a different location within this grid, right? And so as soon as I go through something, that is who I am. But as soon as things come back around again, I have to go through that same exact pathway for my consciousness to identify with my current consciousness now, meaning that I have to go through everything the exact same pathway that had occurred before to me to be able to have this identity I have now. And it's this whole battle between being able to describe myself or being described. It's like we're living words, right? I name somebody something, and it would be silly to say that what their name actually is really doesn't have an influence on who they are, because, we subconsciously identify with so many different things, and hearing ourselves in language, in a sense being sentenced, just because you use a word doesn't mean that it, and maybe you come up with the word, it doesn't mean that it doesn't have like a proper place within a paragraph, so to speak. And so, do we get to pick our own definition, or is our definition predetermined itself? Right? And is my location within sentencing always what it's been? And if it isn't what it's been, then what am I? I'm something else, and I'm no longer what I am, and then it can't be that way. I'm something else then. And I've already still actually followed the rule in that, I am this other thing now, but it's like I'm still me, because I think I need to drink a little more. Maybe I'll understand it a little bit better. Yeah. It's just knowledge. It's just knowledge that I drink right there. It's just information, And it's like, maybe it was like carrying a bit of information which will have a biochemical reaction within my body and allow me to actually see into some thought or some train of thought which beforehand I wasn't able to comprehend, but now just the right amount of whatever it was that I ingested allowed me to experience what I needed to experience to comprehend this new notion or this new idea, leading me to becoming something else from what I once was. But now that's always who I've been, because I did it. And I couldn't, do it any other way. So, yeah. Anyways, I think heaven is a place on earth, and we can be there. And it's like when you teach little children about the ideals of heaven, you're just teaching them about like where they can end up later on in life. It's like if you follow these guidelines and you respect God in this way, meaning other things outside of yourself, then it's going to have this reaction to you, and you're going to end up in this better situation, which is characteristic of heaven, right? So you are going to end up in heaven if you follow these things. And if you don't, you're probably going to end up in a less than desirable situation, which could be described as hell. But either way, you're eternal. And then, see, now we get into it. It's like, either way, you're eternal. You're going to end up in heaven, or you're going to end up in hell. Or, wherever in this vast spectrum. Who knows? Maybe there's like some other surreal reality over here, which is like you have heaven and you have hell, but then there's like just nonsense over here. Maybe that's more of a hell than what actual people describe as hell itself, where it's like hell is like this pain and suffering and like addiction and all this other stuff. But then you just have like this surreal nightmare over here, which has no rhyme or reason at all. And that might be more of a hell than, being able to understand why you are down here. Man, I felt like I was on I was about to like go off on something, but then it just literally just like escaped me. It's like I'm like always constantly chasing these thoughts, and it's like I grab them sometimes and then it's just like water, and it just like slides right through my fingers. And it's just like, dang it. I almost like had it. It was like, I was almost formulating these clouds into like actual steps that I could like ascend, But then all of a sudden, as I'm like walking up them, it's just like I reach a point where all of a sudden it's not a concrete notion beneath me anymore, and I just then fall. And then I'm like scraping and scratching and trying to like reformulate these steps again to like ascend this thought. But man, it's like such a difficult time when you're like doing this impromptu, which is how I do pretty much all my videos. It's not like I'm sitting down and writing all this stuff. No, I just get on camera and just start talking. And so it's like I might reach like moments which are very transcendent, but then at other times it just might just sound like, and I'm trying to like fill in. I'm trying to like fill in until I can like regain my position and my thought that I previously had, until I'm like, yeah, that's where I was going, that's where I want to go, and I can retouch up on what I said, and then I can actually reformulate in a better way what I'm trying to actually express. And I was almost there. Maybe I need to take another drink again. Yeah, I don't know. I guess in summation, all I was trying to say was that no matter how you look at it, you're eternal. I mean, your soul is pretty much going to be saved because of the infinite nature of what you know, of what is anyways. And if you experience anything else, would you be who you are? No, you'd be that other thing, but as soon as you were that other thing, that would be who you are. And due to the ever-expansive nature of all that is anyways, whatever that is going to become an eventuality. So realistically, you're immortal. Now, what I was getting into is like, I guess I was trying to get into free will versus determinism, or, you know, predeterminism. But there's no pre, really, if you look at things this way, because it's like trying to like find the starting point on a circle, right? Can you do it actually? Is there in reality a starting point or a predeterminism, or, you know, is everything right now held within the moment? A lot of people think so. Everything that I need is in the moment. Is this just getting stupid now? Because I'm starting to like slur my words. I don't know. Maybe I need to drink more, and I will actually attain what it is that I'm seeking, folks. It's in the water, but this is not water. Starting to feel pretty good now. Yeah. It's like, damn, why can't I just feel like this all the time, you know? But this moment, if I'm correct, will once again be again. In the future, but the future is the past. Because, you know, it just is. Like, the future is what's already happened. So the future is the past. It's like awe-inspiring to actually like start scratching the surface on these things. But at the same point in time, it can be kind of like a real bummer, because what you start becoming aware of is that, could I really have taken any other way? Like, if I did, I wouldn't be who I am, but I would be something else, but that would be who I was. Right? And it's like, after I do these videos, it's like, you know, beforehand, it's like, oh yeah, that would be so cool to put on video, you know? Like, express this thought, like, sit there and really try and put it out there so that other people can understand what it is that you're putting forth. And like, in some ways, can people not understand what it is that you're putting forth? Because if they were on the same page as you were, what is it that's separating them from you? if they could truly understand everything how I understood it, are they really actually a separate thing than me and myself? Like, as soon as they can picture everything in the way that I picture it, are they not a literal manifestation of whom I myself am? And then it's not necessarily anything else agreeing with me, which is what we seek. We seek the agreeance of an acknowledgement of other things, but as soon as something else agrees and acknowledges what it is that I do, is it really any different than just me agreeing and acknowledging with myself? Can anything else comprehend what I comprehend without being me? And I guess the whole thing collapses, onto some point of which everything comes from where everything came from. So in a sense, nothing is literally, different from anything else other than in the path that it took, but it's all from the same initial point. So we have a commonality. All things have a commonality. But at the same point in time, the path that it took from the initial point itself is what separates things. So I don't know, maybe, in a lot of ways, things can identify with me, but still be separate from me. I mean, all it takes is one difference and it's no longer what I am, it's something else. And so I guess, they could be 99.999% similar to who I am, but even though as soon as you introduce in that, no matter how small of a percentage of a difference, it's no longer myself anymore, it's something else. And so maybe things can pretty much in general identify with my rationale behind things and still be something other than what I am. And that's pretty crazy. I mean, how much of a difference between individuals does it take for them to be a different individual? If we look at things in terms of genetics, it takes 0.001% of a difference in genes, and it's usually in the form of a single nucleotide, right? A nucleotide is what? A, C, T, and G. What is it? Guanine, thymine, cytosine, adenine, cytosine, thymine, guanine, A, T, C, and G. It's like one change in a sequence, and literally you alter so much about an individual. But, they're still 99.999% the same, right? But it's that 0.001% which makes all the difference in the world, Thought I was onto something so groundbreaking, shaking the foundations of reality itself. That as soon as people would actually listen to it, that they would just be like, oh yeah. But here's something kind of interesting to think about that I'm just contemplating right now. So what I spoke just 5 minutes ago was that all things have a commonality in that their existence comes from the same initial expansion, right? Well, what if we look at things in a multi-dimensional perspective where each universe itself literally has its own initial point? And so we're saying that I myself am this eternally rotating cycle over here, but then something else is this eternally rotating cycle right here. It has nothing to do with my reality over here. I don't know, this is just getting stupid, I feel like. I mean, is the most powerful God the most powerful in relation to location, in that the people within the location we're describing give power to the being which they worship, and in essence, if you obey the will of the power that they're giving power to, then this being actually rewards you in following what it is that the being itself actually deems to be appropriate. Now, what I mean by this is, let's say that we find ourselves in another place on the globe where they worship another deity. And in actuality, the majority of people within this place actually worship this deity. And they say, if you follow these guidelines, then you will have a more blessed life. And this deity will, in fact, reward you for your actions. Now, let's say that you actually participate within the actions itself that are deemed to be rewarding by this deity. Now, is it necessarily the deity itself that's rewarding you? Or is it the people around you that worship and give power to this ideal or this thought? And in essence, as they see you actually participating in what they think to be good actual actions itself, they reward you for the actions that they deem to be good. And so they become the acting participants in actually manifesting themselves as the deity that they themselves worship, and in essence, blessing you with the blessings that they say the deity would bless you with, but it's merely the actual conglomeration of the people that worship this deity and worship these actions that bless the actions of those that follow the actions that they say the deity actually rewards itself. And so, in essence, the people become the manifestation of the deity they worship, and the most powerful deity actually changes in regards to the location that we find ourselves in that what are people in this location giving power to? And if we adhere to the social constructs of the people within a location and the society within this location, then society is going to reward us for our actions that they deem to be appropriate. And in essence, what we deem to be God rewarding us is in essence what people actually deem God to be, but in essence it's the people rewarding us and actually placing us on a pedestal because we're following the will of society. Now, you might say, well, does that actually defeat the definition of God? Because should not God be a universal being which transcends the petty beliefs of a people? And if that's the case, if that's what you actually believe, if you believe that the power of a deity or a God itself isn't in fact dependent upon the worshiping and the people that give power to deity, which actually is an actuality, because as people give power to a belief system, then the belief system gains power and can actually influence realities around us or reality around us by shaping the world to conform with what they believe as soon as they give their beliefs so much power. But if you think that deity itself should transcend the mere petty beliefs of individual parties or as groups of individuals, then what you should actually worship are the fundamental characteristics of the universe itself and how the universe itself actually operates. Because if I travel to the opposing side of the globe, no matter what the belief system there is, if I worship a deity which operates on a higher law than what they worship, then what I worship should transcend their belief systems. So let's say, in essence, that the actual principles of physics and of chemistry and of all these other sciences and fundamental sciences, these things operate on conditions which actually transcend the boundaries and the borders of nations and the boundaries and the borders of belief systems. So if you want to worship a deity which actually transcends mere belief,
then worship the fundamental principles of science. But in doing so, are you not worshiping deity itself? Because is that not what supreme deity itself is the actual manifestation of intelligence based upon the conglomeration of the fundamental sciences itself? Well, anyways, that's enough of this blabber for today. Later, y'all. All right, so the road to the Diamond Road. The road to the Diamond Road? I guess that's fitting because I'm not necessarily on the Diamond Road yet, but that's where I would like to be, you know? So, first of all, I gotta be on the road to the Diamond Road before I can be on the Diamond Road itself. Well, let's get this all set up, start my audio recording. Yep, that's all right. Let's start recording that. Now let's start up my screen recording. Record. Alrighty. There we go. Everything is now recording. So, before I begin this video, it's been a while since I played Starcraft. So, let's see here. Legacy of the Void. I need to look into build orders because when I was in the Platinum League previously on, what is it? The Liberty one? The Liberty expansion. Legacy of the Void. Build orders. Protoss. You pretty much have to know build orders. Otherwise, you're not going to be competitive at all. For Whipgate Rush, Protoss build orders, Liquipedia. So, you know, if you want to be competitive in anything, you pretty much have to start watching replays. You have to start watching other people play. You have to look into all forms of strategies. Let's see here. Pages in category Protoss. Build orders. The following 136 pages. Whoa, alright. I don't know if this is what I want to. 2-base Archon, 2-gate Fast, Observer versus Terran, blah blah blah. I just want a general build for the Protoss. Legacy of the Void build orders from Reddit. Pretty standard openers just involved. Adept, Harass, 13 Pylon, 14 Gate, right as Pylon finishes, 15 Gas, 17 Second Gas, or wait for expansion at 19. Whatever, depending on if you're returning a macro attack, blah blah blah. Different from Heroes of the Storm, or Heart of the Swarm. That's not Heroes of the Storm. The only big thing I've noticed is make sure you get Observers out versus Terran because Banshees seem to be fairly common, blah blah blah. I play Adept, Harass into Expand, and throw down a Forge and Stargate at the 3-minute mark. Oracle, Harass, Weakening Robotics Facility. And then add some blah blah blah. 13 Pylon, 15 Gate, Scout, Probe, 17 Nexus. That's what I'm looking for more. Something like that. Cybernetics, gas is safe versus everything except cannon rushes, and 12 pools. Alrighty. Thoughts on the next season's maps? Build carriers. Alright. It's seriously late game. If the game ever makes it to that point where you are able to safely build carriers, then you could pretty much win the game at any point, I feel like. I feel like if you're able to get to the point where you can build actual carriers in a ranked 1v1 match, then literally you're showing that you had the advantage the entire game, and you probably could have won the game at any point in time if you're able to pump out enough, you know, a significant amount of carriers to do any difference at all. Is this what I just clicked on? Yeah.
Protoss tactics. What are the best Protoss build orders? Russian Void Rays. There's just a couple of new units from the last time when I played. What is it? SC2. Wings of Liberty. I got ranked in the Platinum League in Wings of Liberty, but in the new Legacy of the Void, there are a couple new units, and it just changes the game so much as soon as you introduce other units that you can play at certain, points in the game, and the game literally just takes a couple millisecond, seconds of a difference between you and what your opponent is doing to make all the difference in the world. Well, let's just get into it, actually, I feel like. So let's start it up. Let's log in. And if you're gonna start following me on this, I'm just gonna turn my channel into a gaming channel. I'm kind of sick of all the philosophy type stuff, it's like death and life. Well, you're immortal if you believe in God because you're saved by what God is, but God is literally the manifestation of the universe. So in essence, everything is already saved because nothing that happens can't be, not remembered. So literally it's always remembered. So yeah, you're saved. But literally due to the vast expansiveness of everything, all eventualities will become a reality. So whatever it is that you are will eventually become again. So literally you're immortal, blah, 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 blah. But then, there's heaven, there's hell. Heaven is merely a metaphor for the quality of life that you can have during life based upon treating God with respect. And, God is literally the manifestation of collective intelligence of other individuals. So treat people with the golden rule and you'll find yourself in a better situation within life, which is, in reality, heaven itself, or you can be in hell by, going against God or going against the will of society, which is literally a manifestation of God itself, finding yourself in imprisonment or in hell. Blah, 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 blah. But then, you have free will, and it's like, can I be anything else than what I am? But is what I am actually predetermined by something else other than who I am? Or am I literally the manifestation of in control of all reality? If that is so, then why can't I, literally do whatever it is that I want all the time? But no, I have to follow and obey the stipulations within things. Who cares? So I'm just gonna play video games and just enjoy the awesome cinematics and the gameplay, and really just try and get into the Diamond League. The Diamond League is something which has just been out of my reach. So I'm gonna do my best to actually gain entrance into the very restrictive group itself. Alrighty, let's play. Let's play some Starcraft, folks. Let's play some Starcraft. Let's kick some butt. It's like a more advanced form of chess, is what I've come to find out. Pretty much people have their standard openers, but you got to be pushing, and if you put them on the time limit so that they have to react to what's going on, then you can upset what it is they're trying to do. Yeah. So here we go. StarCraft 2, Legacy of the Void. Initializing maps as we speak. So if you are looking for more than just watching somebody play video games and comment upon what's going on in the game itself, then do check out some of my other videos, because I try to dive within a lot of stuff. I show really how futile it is to try and understand everything. And then it's I find myself within this dilemma. It's I try and play stupid so that I can be held less responsible for everything. But then it's like, as soon as people really do think you're stupid, they actually give you less freedom. So it's like this catch-22. It's like, if you're stupid, people give you freedom because then you're free to do whatever you want, because people say, oh, you know, he doesn't have to contribute because he's an idiot. And so he gets to do whatever he wants. But then if you're like too much of an idiot, then people restrict you from doing anything because maybe you participate in something too idiotic, which restricts you from actually... how can I get this in a better aspect ratio here? Yeah, whatever. Multiplayer. New season, lost. League placement. So this episode's pretty much just going to be my league placement. And I usually play as Protoss. That's what I've played as is pretty much ever since the Brood War days. I don't really play anything else. I can play other, you know, races, but I'm not going to be competitive at all with these other races. So I'm just going to stick with Protoss because that's what I'm comfortable with. But this game is super competitive. Initializing 1v1, folks. Searching. I don't know. After this, I might play some Diablo 3 or maybe some Heroes of the Storm. We'll just see what kind of gaming mood I'm in after I finish all of these league placement matches. We got a game ready. Alright, let's see what the name of my opponent is. My name is like a rendition of my actual name. It's like how my name sounds, Austin. My name is Austin, so I put my name as Austin. Ponerous Zerg. Alright, so my initial strategy coming into this is that I'm just going to basically say that if it's Zerg that I'm playing against, then they're going to try and rush Zerglings. So I'm going to wall myself off, but then try not to, you know, wall myself, like, get trapped in my own base, so to speak, which can be trouble because then Zerg can just overrun the map. And I become walled off and restrict myself to defend against the rush, but then I literally can't expand anywhere because I'm stuck in a place, you know. So that's what I'm gonna try and do. All right, we gotta get going right off the bat. Start a probe going. What's up, West? I'm facing a Zerg right now. Alright, so 14 hits. I gotta get my probe out. And I'm going to wall off my stairs right here. And I already feel like I'm off all my timing because I should have literally had my probe out there building right as soon as I hit 100 minerals. Hopefully I don't get supply capped right here. Let's see here. Now I should already have my... See, this is how rusty I am. But it's literally like these like little tiny seconds which make or break your performance in the match. Let's boost. Party's already started. Whoops. Alright, I'm going to set this as hotkey number 2 for my gateway. Let's see here. And then maybe I'll just block the lane off with my Zealots, some Zealots. I probably should scout, see what the heck's going on over there. Let's hotkey that guy 3. Alright, let's boost my some guys mining on that. And I already need to build another pylon. So let's see. Only position right there. Now you go to him. Let's check on this guy. He's not coming across anything quite yet. Let's build another refinery. So we got a bunch of runaway. Okay, he died. Whoops. So yeah, This mothership core is what gets me now because I didn't play with that before, and this is the new unit, so it's like I don't know how to work with it. Whatever. I'll figure it out eventually if I play enough of this. Alright, hold position. Now my base is walled off, so I can focus on teching up. I'm going to tech up the cybernetics core. I'm not much of a warp player, so I don't really like to do warp gate. But now I'm stuck in my base. Let's see here, let's just get some zealots going. One thing I always forget is just to keep building units the entire game. Yeah, warp gate? I'm not even gonna research it.
We embrace the glory of battle.
Oh shoot, get through. Dumb. Oh well, looks like he didn't micro his units enough. Oh, dang, he did. Ah.
My meditation is over.
I thought I had it blocked off, I guess not. This is stupid. Well, now he saw what I was doing and it disrupted my whole flow. Let's see here. Let's just go there. Let's see if I can catch this guy off guard.
My life for ire.
Hold position.
Justice be
Hold,
done.
hold. I'm clicking H. I don't know if that's a hotkey anymore or not. What I should do is build some other gateways. Out of 60. But that's the difference between an amazing player and somebody who's not an amazing player. That's the difference between Silver League, Gold League, and Platinum League. I have 18 probes mining right now instead of the most efficient amount. So, which would be 16. Let's see here. I don't know. Should I just try and spam this guy? Let's put this as 4.
Prismatic.
Yeah, I'm putting him behind my zealots. See, I have my base walled off so that he... I thought I had it walled off earlier better though. I don't know, maybe I can surprise him with like, See, but now I should be moving out towards the second base by now, is the thing. So I'm gonna do that, otherwise I'm gonna lose. I feel like I've already pretty much lost, but whatever. I gotta start my next mining operation, otherwise I'm definitely gonna be behind.
You require my skills.
Maybe I'll start an assault on his base here in the next little while. I'm about to get supply capped.
You must construct additional pylons.
Let's just put that as
We are one with channel the light. You must construct additional pylons.
I have no idea what this guy's going because my scouting has just been horrible.
You require more Vespine gas. Phase crystals charged.
Let's see if I can make an assault at the same time.
You require more Vespine gas.
Alright, well, now he just saw what I had, so.
Our shot. You must construct additional pylons.
Let's get this working on things.
We are at full power. Prismatic. You require more Vespine gas. Systems at
I feel like I'm gonna be running away from this battle, but you know, you never know. Like, he's already got creep down here. He's obviously expanded his base. He has his queen out. Okay, we're not attacking that.
dawn. This vessel shall.
I don't know, maybe I can harass with some of these ways. But I'm definitely running away with everything else, though. So he has banelings,
Mineral field.
which I hate playing against.
Mineral field depleted.
See if I can kill some of these drones. Yes, his overlords up here.
Annihilation commencing. Paradactyl.
Should I go for his overlords or go for his drones? Alright, let's just attack all of his drones.
My life for fire.
Don't attack the queen. Whatever, attack the queen.
You must construct additional pylons. We face the enemy.
Hydralisks, yuck.
Phase crystals
Ooh.
charged.
You require my skill.
My life for iron.
Alrighty, so what am I going to do? He's going Hydralisks. That means that I am going to start going some Zealots. And this game is just starting to get frustrating now.
Channel the light of iron. Prismatic core online.
Alright.
My life for iron. My life. Paradactyl.
Let's research charge. And I need to build a forge.
Mineral field depleted.
Let's build it. Let's build my mothership core.
I am here in the shadows.
Yeah, I know. He is. I'm just going to Void Rage.
Justice has come.
I needed like a ton more Zealots, otherwise I'm screwed. Yeah. I mean, I'm keeping up my supply limit. My mineral count isn't going down too much. Let's just build some random pilot cannons.
We await.
Paradactyl.
Reinforcing silent.
Alright, so I'm gonna. I don't know if he just pumped out a bunch of Hydralisks to counteract my Void Rays that went there. Or if he is going Hydralisks. If he just tried to counteract all my Void Rays, then it might be smart to just continue going Void Rays. But if he is going pure Hydralisk, then I should go Zealots and Stalkers and get charge and maybe get some sentries in there so that I can throw some shields up and whatever. Ah, great.
Channel the
Let's see. Okay. Let's just do some Dark Towers. I said this game was kind of like chess. That's why I kind of play chess. I just do random moves every once in a while that make any sense at all. I don't really think about it. I just move the guy there. And then sometimes you make the other guy overthink it and they're like, why is he doing that? That's kind of what I do in
We
these games.
await.
Fleet beacon? Fleet beacon.
Downloading orders.
Oh, shoot. Spotted you, fool. Get out of here. that? His little morphing guy over there, just sitting there spying on my
Andy
base.
Berkai.
Jerk. I don't know, maybe that's a good sign because I saw him spying on me, but he wasn't attacking, which means that maybe he saw that I had a bigger army than him. So he wasn't attacking. Or he was just saying, alright, if he's building up an army to come and attack, then I'm going to do the same thing. You never quite know. And it looks like my robotics facility is up. Let's get an observer out so I have some vision out there. I have charge out. Let's get some Alright, now an attack is going down, and I'm missing out on what's happening. And he bayloaded my whole army.
Annihilation commences.
Jump!
Under created.
Yeah. Onerous. Just wasted me. Onerous. What, have 1900 excess minerals and 1900 excess gas as well? Well, that's it, folks. I could be a douche and I could like prolong this game and just run around the map and build nexuses all over the place and be that guy, but I'm just gonna quit because it's over. So there you have it. That was my first placement match of the day and of this season. Starcraft is like that. It's like, I swear, I never come across anybody that is just as bad as me. It's like I always come across people that are that much better than me. I've been promoted, or what? 1 versus 1 bronze. Alright. Lucky number 7, what is this? Hmm. $15-minute match ended in like just a couple seconds when he finally spammed me with his Hydrolisk army. Well, 1 versus 1 bronze league. Let's see if I can win a match actually for you guys to watch. It's kind of hard to find equal matches. It's like the scale gets tipped like so quick, you know. As soon as like you know, you add just a couple drops of water on this side, all of a sudden it's like in your favor just like that much, you know. And it's really hard to find like a match that just balances out and evens out so well, because it's either just, you know, so much in your favor or so much in their favor, and it's so difficult to find something that's pretty equal in regards to the ability of each player. Jeb Kenobi. Alright, he's playing as Terran. I'm gonna go for a cheese this round. I've tried to play like serious like matches or whatever, you know, but let's see if I can get him on a cheese. Alright, so you come back. Let's go back here with you. Let's put you in right there. Good luck, have fun. He says to me, good luck, have fun. So, alright, blah, blah, blah. You too. Alright, let's see here. His base is right there. Increase the brightness. Let's see if I can get this probe in there before he notices anything.
You must construct additional pylons.
So this is your standard, oh look, the base entrance is over here. Boom, 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 boom. Alright, you never know. Maybe he won't see me, you know? Sometimes they don't. This is like the best way to rise up to the ranks, is just start cheesing everybody with cannon rush. Alright, so I think I got past his defenses. He must have not seen me on his mini-map, so as long as I just stay in the fog of war until I have a cannon ready that I can run back to, then I should be fine. Let's see what happens here. And then I just have to worry about him rushing my base with some Marines or something like that, you know? Back here and I can start prepping for the fact that my cannon rush doesn't work, with some precautions back to my own base. And there he is, he just scouted my base. Saw him on my mini-map. Okay, so now that we've gotten that guy up there, let's do this. Let's start pushing this a little bit. We gotta be kind of smart, because if he's smart with his Marines, he can still, you know, pretty much halt this cannon rush pretty easily. So, and it looks like he just found something's going on here. Now I just gotta spam him with a bunch of cannons right here. Yeah, see, if he's not smart, dumb. I messed up. Yeah, whatever. You never know. Like, the game can still go quite a bit in your favor after doing that, you know. Now I can rush him with Zealots. I have a pretty strong presence in his base. And it's gonna, you know, pretty much waste as much minerals as it took for me to do that, so it kind of equalizes itself out, I guess you could say. Now I actually have to start playing.
Base is under attack.
Yeah, it's done for. Just, you know, a couple guys is all it takes, because that's what we just saw right there. Is like, I don't know, maybe now I can, like, zealot rush him.
Base is under attack.
Alright, he just took everything out. Nope. He's got a pretty strong. See, cannon rush can be a super setback if it doesn't work. But I'm not just gonna rage quit. I'm gonna finish up the match. And, you know, there still is a chance I can pull something off here. Like, you never know what mistakes we might make or something like that.
My meditation is over.
I'm just gonna go for a bunch of Zealots and just try and just overwhelm his army that way.
My life for hire.
Nah, I mean, Colossus is usually the end game for if you're playing against Terran, it seems like.
Command me. Na Adam Atu.
He's probably just gonna go Marines and Medvacs.
For hire. We stand as one. You must place
And
in the power field.
I'm just gonna have to go to Colossus. Eventually, right now I need to build up some a meat shield for my Colossi that I'm. Alright, run away, dudes. Get back up here behind this cannon.
My life for hire. By your will.
He might just overtake me right here.
Orange Shisa. My life for hire. And Tara, my meditation is over. Son of
Man,
guidance.
Starcraft is such a frustrating game. Guy's stinging, and it looks like he's gonna probably overtake me. Yeah, this is a game. That's it. And then I can just be a douche and I can run around the map and build pylons and stuff like that, but whatever. It's over. GG. Now I remember why I haven't played this game in so long. It's because it's like so frustrating and I suck at it. So I tend to stick to just arcade mode because you can get away with a lot more just laid back playing. It's like a lot more leisured playing in arcade mode. What's my icon even on? Achievements. It was in the silver. Alright, let's play one more game. This is probably going to be my last game because I'm already getting frustrated with this game. Three, two, 1, 0. See what the name is. Kayuki Zerg. It's harder to rush, cannon rush Zerg because they got that creep. I don't know, maybe I'll try something else this game though. Yeah, I'm gonna try something else. Alright, so I'm going for Dark Templar Rush this time. I'm going to try and rush him with Dark Templar. That's what Dark Templar Rush is. So to do that, I need to, first of all, I'm going to block off my base from this guy because I don't want him running in with Zerglings. And then I have to rush to a robotics facility so that I can transport. Actually, I'm going to research warp tech and I'm just going to try and warp them in, and I'm going to get a pylon out there that just warping units over his base. I gotta start mining my gas right now so that I have enough to actually put in a significant amount of guys up in his base. Let's put one zealot out there just to take care of these Zerglings who I send my way. Let's see here. So I need to build my cybernetics core to start teching up. I'm gonna build another pylon over here so that I don't get supply capped. I'm gonna start mining some gas. And yeah, the thing we gotta remember here is that this is my first, well, this is my third match, I guess, in a very long time. Today was my first match in a very, very long time. It's been quite a long time since I've really played Starcraft competitively, and so it's. Let's see, I gotta get the Twilight Council up and running, and then I need to get a robotics facility up and running. Blah blah blah. Popping the Z-Lot out while we're at it. Let's. Okay, so we did do that. Crap. Alright, he's running away. Okay, so I blocked his little. Finally, my block actually worked this time. Last time it didn't work. Which is frustrating. Okay, let's get that up and going.
Justice be done.
3 and 3, we're all maxed out there. If I decimate his base, but I still don't destroy him, if he is able to kind of block my advance, then it will still give me, you know, enough time to expand. So this is actually a much kind of safer rush than Cannon Rush. I have a lot more to fall back upon because I'm still teching up in a lot of ways. Let's see here. I need to build a warp prism, and then we need to sneak this warp prism right around there. By the time that warp prism comes out, I would like to have a couple more gateways in action. Alright, let's turn those into gateways. Let's get my thing going. Blah blah blah. Let's get another pylon up there. Alright. Dark Templars on the way. Okay, so let's hotkey this guy. Whoa, what's going on? Hotkey you. Okay, let's hotkey all of these as 3. Let's go back to this rush can really take a lot of people off guard. Okay, let's go just right here.
From the shadows I come.
Sweet.
I will comply.
We'll get right into his base. Up there.
The darkness hides. What would you ask of us? Nothing.
So now the key is that
I am intrigued. Battle is upon
okay, so
us.
yeah, that actually probably bought me some time. So now what I'm going to try and do is I need to expand now. Kind of decimated his mining operation a little bit. It looked like he had a bunch of roaches. It didn't look like he really had too much air defense, so I'm going to now try to focus on air for a minute. Let's see if
I am here in the shadows.
can get him with that. So I hate playing against Zuri though, is because I have to block off my entrance. And then I'm blocked off. Like, yeah, I protect myself from them coming in, but then it's like, and now it's like such a hassle for me trying to get my guys out, and it's like I'm gonna have to destroy this pile on them. Otherwise, it's just so frustrating to try and transfer each of my guys. Like, oh shoot. And then I've walled off everything else as well. That's stupid. Pretty stupid. Oh shoot.
Our pylon is under attack. Mineral field depleted.
I'm so horrible at this game. Oh man. I thought I had him. I was like, yeah, I totally decimated his base with those,
You must construct additional pylon.
and he does have
Shadows.
some mutilisks. He's probably like
Prismatic.
thinking, he's like, oh man, that sucked so hardcore. I just got that DT rush on me, and then now it's like,
On the
he
cruise.
just totally just little swarm of guys that he just sent in my base.
Mineral field depleted.
Man, these kids play this for a living though. It's like, I swear, it's like, that's what they do, is they just play this game for a living, so it's like, no wonders that I can't, like, actually compete with these kids, you know? It's like, this is what they're doing. Well, there you have it. There's the frustrations of Starcraft caught on tape. How many matches now is that lost? So eventually, if you lose enough, you should start getting paired with worse and worse players, right? And then maybe start winning some. I don't know. I'm thinking that's how the matchmaking service works, but sucky. Achievement awarded. Warp in time, just in time to lose, right? So that's enough for today. I feel like I got a feel for Starcraft again. Saw why it was that I stopped playing when I did. Anyways, yeah. Later, folks.
Train your mind, now hear my words. Twitter paid in little birds. If you've kept up with all my posts, then your life's just like a ghost, already dead in the machine. The screen and life, one's in between.